Hi, good morning, Glenn Kirschner. Hi. Hi.
Good morning, Steph. How are we doing today?
Yikes, Glenn. Yikes. By the way, your Twitter feed is actually emanates yikes, which I would assume anyone that's ever spent a career in serving justice in America feels. It is truly, there's not even a word, alarming, terrifying, what is happening at the Justice Department, correct?
Yeah, I think the legitimacy and independence of the Justice Department took a near fatal blow over the last 48 hours, and that's not hyperbole.
Well, okay, because the other reason I knew you would know these men, you said John Kravis is an outstanding, honorable, ethical career public servant and one of the country's best public corruption prosecutors. He's also my former colleague from our homicide section days at D.C. In D.C., Trump bar destroying the DOJ and ruining lives. In all caps, this must stop. Glenn, what do we do? Because it seems to me like impeaching Barr has got to be, job one.
Yeah, here's what we have to do. People have impeachment fatigue. They have oversight hearing fatigue.
Yeah.
But, Steph, I investigated, prosecuted, and lost plenty of cases in my 30 years as a prosecutor, and never once did I say, there's more crime out there, maybe having been committed by the same defendant or the same gang. And because I lost the case, I'm going to stop investigating and prosecuting crime. We may have impeachment fatigue, but now more than ever, it's important for really the only remaining institution that has the opportunity to investigate crime, and that is the House of Representatives, needs to gear up, needs to strap on, needs to investigate all of these abuses by Bill Barr, and they need to impeach him. At some point, if the Republicans in the Senate don't start doing their job in the impeachment calculus by convicting and removing corrupt politicians, then they are just willing to say our republic is limping toward extinction. So we've got to keep going.
Yeah. You said, boy, your Twitter was so great, so on fire, Glenn. But you just said the DOJ is infected. That's a good word, with the Trump virus. Congress impeach Barr before it is too late. And you said, let me counter Barr's BS. In a case as notorious as Stone, prosecutors vet a sentencing recommendation up to and including the AG. This is today's version of Mueller found no obstruction or no collusion, and Epstein killed himself. Pure and utter nonsense. I mean, what he has presided over already is, I think, enough to impeach him. But here's where I opened the show, Glenn. Couldn't wait to talk to you. It seems like the only guardrails left are the judges, at least the not the unqualified young ones that Trump has shoved through and Mitch McConnell has shoved through. But you said the judge does not have to accept a prosecutor's sentencing recommendation. I strongly suspect Judge Jackson will impose a sentence she believes is just and fair. Sadly, that's the moment Trump pardons Stone, right? I mean, that's the other thing. Why go through all this and reduce the sentencing if he's just going to pardon him?
Because I think Trump sees this as sport. Trump has no principles. He has no ideology. He likes being a thorn in everyone's side, and he relishes the fight. Yeah. But there really is no principle behind it. There's no end game for Trump. I don't even think Trump wants to be a dictator for ideological reasons. He loves the fight. So I do think both Judge Amy Berman Jackson, who has Roger Stone's case, and Judge Emmett Sullivan, who has Michael Flynn's case, will put those two men in prison because, one, they deserve to be in prison for their crimes, and two, it kind of doesn't matter. It doesn't bind the judges that prosecutors say give somebody 7 years or 9 years or 6 months or probation.
Right.
It's up to the judge. And let's face it, the prosecutors filed a powerful 26-page sentencing memorandum 2 days ago saying that the Heartland guideline sentence for Roger Stone's crimes is 7 to 9 years, and we are respectfully asking the court to impose a guideline compliant sentence. And then a day later, after the president registers his disagreement in a 1 a.m. tweet, the Department of Justice says, our bad, and now I have both of these sentencing memos in front of me. There's a 4-page sentencing memo that was filed yesterday that is not worth the paper it's written on, saying, our bad, we didn't mean it. 7 to 9 years is unfair, it's unjust. You need to take Roger Stone's age into account and his circumstances and his finances and how hard this has been on him. And the damn thing reads like it was submitted by Roger Stone's mother, never mind his defense attorney.
Yeah, or cut and pasted from Trump's tweets, right?
It's an abomination.
Yeah.
It's an abomination. But you know what? Judge Jackson can do one of two things. She's going to sentence Stone to what she thinks is appropriate, which is 7 to 9 years, is my guess. And then she either will or will not make the United States Attorney's Office account for this unprecedented flip-flop that resulted in 4 prosecutors immediately walking away from the case.
Well, and you personally know Judge Sullivan in the Flynn case. You said Judge Sullivan don't play. But here's the thing. It's almost like you can feel this coming, can't you? Whatever they sentence them to, Trump on cue will go unfair, witch hunt, scam. He's trying to erase the whole Mueller investigation, say the whole thing was a hoax and a scam, and everybody that went to prison, shouldn't have, and I'm going to pardon all. I mean, right? Whatever it is, he's going to say that's unfair, and that's why I'm pardoning him.
And here's the scariest part, and hopefully we can circle back to a silver lining if we can find one. Here's the scariest part. If Trump loses in November, the damage he can do between November and January, and not just with pardons, he can continue to, issue executive orders and defund and burn down the entire federal government. But the only thing worse than that is if he gets reelected, because then he can do it not only in the lame duck period, he could do it for 4 more years.
Yeah.
So 2020 is hugely consequential, but buckle up because it's going to be bumpy one way or another starting in November.
Oh, good. My Betty Davis impression can come back. It's going to be a bumpy ride. You said remedy. Anyone he pardons who is a de facto co-conspirator should be charged, thereby forcing the court to decide if a criminal president can lawfully pardon a co-conspirator. And you make a historical note, Glenn. You said you can pardon someone even before the person's been charged. Ford pardoned Nixon, but Nixon had not been charged with any crime. Of course, the Nixon pardon is part of the reason we have Donald Trump today. If you refuse to hold the wrongdoers accountable, expect more wrongdoers. And that's why, Glenn, I was saying, I love what you always say on my show, on Twitter, on MSNBC, that I love that Elizabeth Warren's been the only candidate saying, I will hold every single one of these MFers accountable. There will be a Trump Crimes Commission. You said it's exactly why we need a Trump Crimes Commission come January 2021. No more turning the other cheek. No more bygones be bygones. No more putting our long national nightmare behind us. Not this time. This time there must be accountability. And I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and I think, Elizabeth Warren has been the first one to articulate it. I am confident that no matter who wins the Democratic nomination and ultimately the presidency in November, will undertake to hold all these wrongdoers accountable because they will have learned the lessons of the, horrific Nixon pardon circumstance. So I think they're going to do it. I think they may not be saying they're going to do it as a political calculation because people will accuse them of being vindictive for partisan reasons. It's never vindictive for partisan reasons if you are holding criminals accountable, even if you're doing it belatedly, even if you're doing it after an administration has changed over. There's nothing vindictive about it. The only thing that would be vindictive is if you're prosecuting people who didn't commit crime for political reasons. That would be vindictive, and that would not be what the Trump Crimes Commission was all about.
Well, as I've often said, all crime happens in the past, Glenn, unless you're in the Minority Report movie with Tom Cruise. I mean, and the difference is
all the precogs.
And this is like not fake crimes or crimes that do not exist that Trump is trying to gin up against innocent people, right? Be it the Bidens or anyone else. These are actual crimes. And this is, I just talked to Bob Cesca about this, about reclaiming reality and truth and facts. That's what this is all part of, right? I mean, this is where the gaslighting was yesterday, Glenn. I wanted to get your take. The sixth national security advisor to Trump yesterday defended the administration on the Vindman firings, argued that America would be a banana republic if the administration had not retaliated against the Vindmans. We're not a country where a bunch of lieutenant colonels can get together and decide what the policy is of the United States. We're not a banana republic. Okay. This is the guy that said they absolutely should not be retaliated against, now defending and really? I mean, we are in a banana republic now, correct?
We are.
And this is okay.
And it's unmistakable that what Trump and Barr will do to the Vindmans and the Ambassador Yovanovitches and the James Comeys and the 4 career prosecutors who just had their legs cut out from underneath them, if you do anything to speak the truth and you dare expose the crimes and abuses of President Trump and his co-conspirators like Roger Stone, we will ruin your careers and we damn well may ruin your lives. But if you are a Roger Stone Trump loyalist who continues to cover up Trump's crimes, we will shower you with gifts, including ridiculously lenient sentencing requests. And I don't know that people appreciate that. That 7 to 9 number doesn't just fall out of the sky and the prosecutors say, ooh, let's do 7 to 9 years for Roger Stone. The people that came up with that are an arm of the court. It's called the U.S. Probation and Pretrial Services Office. They do a full investigation of both Roger Stone's background, his criminal history, and of the prosecution's case. They then apply the neutral, independent sentencing guidelines, and an office of the court came up with that 7 to 9. And we as prosecutors said, yes, we think that's right, and we agree with that recommendation. And then for the Department of Justice to swoop in and say that's unfair, that's the exact sentencing guidelines that the court's own, office came up with. So, this is wrong any way you look at it.
We haven't even gotten to Barr opening up a back channel for Rudy Giuliani, who is under investigation, as far as I know, to, funnel Russian disinformation directly into the Justice Department of the United States. Your thoughts?
And isn't that exactly what they complained about when they said that the Steele dossier was Oppo research? Well, Giuliani is out there doing Oppo research, and apparently it was forbidden when it came to Steele and the Clinton campaign doing it, but it's encouraged and welcomed when Giuliani does it. But here's the thing. As a law enforcement agency, the FBI, the Department of Justice, we don't take information from a wrongdoer's lawyer who's globetrotting, talking with, oligarchs and fallen and disgraced prosecutors, and those people are providing information, and then Rudy Giuliani hands it over to Bill Barr, and they're off and running and relying on it. I mean, that is complete and utter nonsense.
Glenn, real quick before you go, we're always long, but we got to get to our silver lining as we do. You tweeted, I do believe Trump will pardon himself, but when he's charged federally for extortion, bribery, witness tampering, threats, obstructing justice and Congress, campaign finance violations, conspiracy to defraud the United States, the courts will rule a self-pardon is unlawful. So there is a justice is coming light at the end of this dark tunnel?
Yes, because the judiciary remains strong, notwithstanding all of the unqualified judges that have been crammed down our throats by Mitch McConnell. We're going to undo that with the Trump Crimes Commission as well, trust me.
Yeah.
But, that is, I think, the light at the end of the tunnel is that any self-pardon will be overturned by a court, and any pardon of a co-conspirator like Roger Stone, I suspect, will also be overturned by a court. So Trump can pardon him today, and then come January 2020, when a new president is sworn in, Roger Stone should be charged again, and or charged anew for crimes that we never touched him for in the first instance. And I think courts will say that's not how the pardon power works.
Hashtag justice is coming. And you know who's going to appoint Glenn Kirschner, head of the Trump Crimes Commission? Attorney General Kamala Harris. It's all going to be fine. And by the way, D.C. box office has gone insane ever since I announced Glenn Kirschner. And listen, Glenn, I know you have a giant brain, but I'm just saying the combination of you and John Fugelsang and Bob Seska has made the lady folk lose their collective minds. So you better hurry. Those tickets are almost gone for D.C. Can't wait to see you April 4th. Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate your time.
Can't wait to see you. Thanks, Steph.
All right, there he goes.